Now we'll rig up the wires that connect the buzzer to the RJ11 jack here. And a couple things to point out. We'll need the buzzer wire clamp and wires that we made earlier. I have this in the picture here, but we don't really need it at this point. We'll slide it on later. We need 2 of these gel connectors and an RJ11 jack. You'll notice that the amount of wires we have here is much less than the amount of wires that we have in the final assembly. So we'll be cutting these wires back a bit, so we don't have to shove as much wire into the buzzer enclosure, which just will make the work harder. And I don't need 4 wires. That's what comes on each one of these RJ11 jacks. If for some reason you wanted to, you could certainly preserve all 4 wires, but I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to cut the black and yellow wire because I'm not going to use them to connect to the buzzer. So, and I'll do that on both ends. You'll see it later in the control unit as well. But I'm just going to use the scissors, and I'm going to cut fairly close to the jack end here. Just cut those wires off. Then they can't get in the way later or cause problems for us later. And just preserve the red and the green. Then these wires don't need to be as long as they are. They need to be about 40 millimeters long. And I'll just keep a little ruler here to help me make these measurements. But I'm going to stretch them out about 40 millimeters here. And then I'm just going to cut them. It doesn't have to be exact, just approximate. Cut them off. And put those in the trash. These guys also don't need to be as long as they are. And I'm going to cut this end off here entirely. And I'm going to measure from this end about 50 millimeters. So right about in here. And I'll cut those 2. I can throw the other half away. And it's at this point I can also separate these 2 wires. I'm going to get rid of this for now. All right, now I'm going to join each of these wires from end to end using these little connectors. They have gel inside, kind of oily gel, and when you seal them, you'll feel a little gel come out. That's a good sign. And I want to show you how to insert the wires. So I'll just take the red wire and let's do green to green. So let's do red wire and yellow wire. Here. I'm going to arrange them in my hand so that they stick out about the same distance. Push back a little bit. And then I'm going to turn this connector over so that the little bead or the extending cylinder is on the underside. And I'm going to push them in to the 2 openings. And I'm going to push them all the way to the end. So I should be able to see them both at, I used to point with, I want to see them both hitting this far end of the connector. I'm going to hold it carefully. It seems like you're trying to hold everything all at once here. It's kind of difficult. And now I'm going to take the pliers and I'm going to squeeze this guy together. And if I've done it right, these wires didn't slip in the process, and this edge now is completely flat. The little cylinder that was sticking out is now pushed all the way in, and these two wires are joined together. The best connection will just be, you'll ensure the best connection if you just make sure both of these wires are all the way into the connector as far as possible before you squeeze the little cylinder down. And now just repeat that for the other two wires. Turning it over again. So I've got the yellow cylinder on the bottom. Makes it easier for me to see inside. It doesn't matter who's on the left or who's on the right. Push them in all the way. It can be a struggle sometimes to push them all the way. And squeeze it together. And that's all it takes to make that little harness there. We're going to be repeating that process. And what I'll do now is I'll just record. The intent here is that, look at my table. The intent is for the plus sign on the buzzer to connect to the red lead on the red wire on the RJ11 jack, and I can do that just by rotating the buzzer in my hand a little bit. On the top of each buzzer, there is, if I get in the picture here, there's a little plus symbol on one side, and it aligns with the pin on that same side. So I will want I will want the plus sign, the plus symbol, to align with the red wire, which means that I need to turn it so that, since red is connected to yellow, I need to turn the buzzer so that the plus symbol and the plus post is aligned with that red, with the yellow wire, which is connected to red. I'm waffling a little bit here because it turns out this particular style of buzzer, the ones that are listed in the bill of materials, it doesn't matter. It performs just as well if the leads are connected in the opposite direction. But there are some buzzers where that plus has to be on the power side, where you're getting the voltage, not the ground side. It just doesn't matter with these buzzers. So it almost doesn't matter how you rotate these, and you can keep track of what color jumper wire is connected to red, and how that's connected to the plus post on the buzzer or not. It really kind of depends on the style of buzzer you buy. These buzzers just doesn't matter. It'll become much more important with the other components, like the control unit itself, keeping track of how you've got things connected, and the proximity sensors, and the potentiometer, how you've connected those wires. So we'll be paying much more attention to this table when we're doing those components. Now you just repeat that process for the other buzzer harness that you're creating.